Hello and welcome to the Voice of TOD. I'm Tom, and with this video we're going to take a look at the first episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now I know I did say I wasn't going to cover this, and I'm still not sold on the show from what the trailers have shown me, but I enjoyed this episode and I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong about something, so this video is exactly that. There will be spoilers, but this is more of an overall chat, an initial reaction than a review. So let's just dive straight into it. As a fan of most of the MCU, I was ready to give up after Endgame. It felt like the right place to call time on it for me, and the movies, well, the ones that we've been teased anyway, don't really do anything for me. That still stands. I enjoyed WandaVision, but it did have some faults, some pretty big ones. And while I'm keeping an eye on what Marvel are doing next, I still see myself as being out of it. Probably after Black Widow, because I do love the character, but we'll see. Which brings me on to this, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Two characters, really, I guess the first time that we meet them is in Captain America Winter Soldier, which is my favourite MCU film. This first episode draws some real parallels from that story. That's probably why I enjoyed it. This episode is much more focused on Falcon, who, admittedly, is one of my favourite characters in the MCU. And while I'm very critical of Anthony Mackie, I am a big fan of his. I think he's a great actor, and I think we don't always see the best that he can give. But he's great in this. We get some really good action. The opening sort of, I guess it's 5-6 minutes. Really good, really well done, and it shows Falcon being Falcon. It does also link back into the Winter Soldier, because we get to see maybe a familiar enemy from the opening of that film, and again the parallels are quite strong there. But this is a much more personal and somber story, certainly in episode 1, for both of our main characters here. Again, Captain America parallels run through this episode. Obviously with Bucky, because they are both men out of time, but also Falcon is too, having been dusted, and both of them brought back. We're only a few months on from that point. I think we're probably somewhere in between WandaVision's ending and the start of Spider-Man Far From Home was the last one. I think we're still in that period. It seems that while Bucky wants to make amends for his past transgressions as the Winter Soldier and the work he did with Hydra, Falcon is much more focused on his family. His sister and his nephews both feature quite heavily. And both of this brings us into much more interesting and personal stories than just beating up the bad guys for me. I want to see how they're dealing with this change, with being dusted, and right off the back of coming back, losing their friend, their mentor, maybe even both. And that personal focus and the more human connections really drive this episode. Now, I don't think the whole show is going to be about that, but that seems to be heavily hinted at in this. Because of that, I will be back next week. I don't know if we'll be reviewing it, we'll see. You guys will have to let me know if you want me to keep reviewing this. But I will definitely be watching it. As far as this story, it seems very focused still on Captain America. This is a show about the man, who he was, what he did, and the symbol that he became. And it's a shame that we don't have Chris Evans in the role, because I thought Chris Evans was great, and as a non-comic book guy, Chris Evans really sold me on Captain America. And that's why he's probably my second favourite MCU character, third favourite Marvel character. I just have this connection with him, the hope and the constant positivity that he seems to view, the camaraderie, the leadership, everything that Cap stands for is something that I connect with. Really worked for me in the films, and I thought he was a great character. Hopefully this show, and it seems to be acting as, a passing of the torch and dealing with the pressures of having such big boots to fill. We don't know which character will be the next Captain America. There is a hint towards the end of the episode that you probably want to keep an eye out for. But this show isn't going to go the way that I think, and it certainly hasn't started out how I thought it would start. We're going to get a much bigger view at the wider MCU than we did with WandaVision, and while hopefully this will be a very personal story, there's a lot of political intrigue going on, there's a lot of talk about terrorist groups, and hints at something else being amiss. Certainly a lot going on since everybody has come back. At this point the show is holding my attention. That may change, and it depends how far they go with certain elements that they set up in this. But so far I was wrong about this. I am happy to admit that, and I hope that this 6-episode series proves me wrong, and that I should have a little bit more faith in what Marvel are doing. We all know how great Kevin Feige is with his amazing vision, and I'm still not in it for the next series of films, and Phase 4 doesn't interest me. But they still have a hold on me with this, and we'll see where it goes. Stay tuned for our Firefly reviews every Wednesday. We're up to episode 7, which is Janestown. And I'll be live on Twitch with some Mass Effect 2 later today and probably over the weekend as well, so keep an eye on my Twitter for times and things if you want to join. I'd love to see you there. Let me know what you thought of the episode. I'd be very interested to talk about this, and anybody who's well versed in the comic lore, there's going to be things that I have missed. If there's anything that I need to know going into episode 2, let me know there as well. You can always DM me on Twitter, whatever's easier for you. But as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.